Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lakisha Johnson, and I am so thrilled to be here today just to have a few moments to share my story because it's one about power and community and education and generosity. And it's one that has dramatically impacted my life through ACE scholarships. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me start by sharing that I am the single mother of 5 amazing young men. They lost their father, and I lost my husband 8 years ago to sickle cell anemia. When he went into liver failure, we lost our rock. That man was the source of so much wisdom for our family, and I still miss him every day. In one of the final moments we had together before he went to be with the Lord, we shared a conversation about what I will do when he was gone. We had been a homeschool family, and one of the things he asked me to do for him was to be sure our 2 youngest children, Josiah and Judah, got a good education. He knew that that would be the foundation for their success. And with me being a full-time professor at the University of Arkansas and running his nonprofit, there wasn't enough time to also keep up with their homeschooling. When he passed, I knew it was on me to figure out how to fulfill the promise. We often miss having his wisdom to defer to, but I don't think he could have imagined how outrageously important that promise would prove to be. I put the boys in private school. I left my position at the university, and I made sacrifices to make those tuition payments. But as a widowed mother of 5 children, I'm telling you the payments were stressful. And so the boys and I, the following year, looked for alternatives, and a friend of ours gave us Little Rock Christian Academy, encouraged me to bring them over. While that sounded wonderful, I knew I simply could not afford it on a nonprofit salary. My friend told me that the school offers tuition assistance, and so stepping out in faith, we applied, and Josiah was accepted. So we moved out of the family home, and we transitioned into an apartment that was close to the school. And thus began not only Josiah's new education journey, but the beginning of a healing process. Josiah qualified for a scholarship, and the relief it provided gave me hope that we were some way, somewhere, somehow going to be all right. I was really curious to know how this was possible. Who was making an investment in my son? I started researching and learned about ACE scholarships. In time, I got to know the local staff and later the president, Norton Rainey, who you heard from earlier this evening. And what I discovered is that sometimes something that seems too good to be true can actually be the real deal. And I can't begin to tell you what a difference it has made to my family. Let me tell you about my Josiah, who I call JoJo. When he entered Little Rock Christian, he was shattered. We all were. I'm skipping. We were shattered, we all were. The grieving process takes time, no matter how you try to approach it. For quite a while, we were all in a fog. Josiah kept a lot on the inside of him. He's generally a pretty quiet kid, and when he came to Little Rock Christian, as a struggling 12-year-old boy, he showed no aspirations to go to college or to stand out in any way. But let me tell you, the teachers, the administrators at LRCA didn't just see Josiah for who he was, they saw him for who he could become. And with compassion and patience and dedication, they invested in him in an exceptional manner. The males at the school have stepped in to be male role models in ways I could never imagine. The principal, Dr. Justin Smith, taught Josiah how to tie a tie so he can wear his daddy's ties when he goes to dances and when he attends chapels or asks girls to prom. My kid going to the prom, but that's exactly what Dr. Smith challenged him to do. They've challenged him and supported him to grow into his potential. And now, if you indulge me for just a minute, I'm going to be a proud mama and share with you where Josiah is now. He is a senior with a 4.2 GPA, and I know my husband would be so proud. He is the student government president. He's grown an interest in musical theater and performed as Beast last year in the production of Beauty and the Beast. And he went out for the football team, but unfortunately broke his ankle this summer and has spent the last 8 weeks nursing a bacterial infection and several other surgeries. But his teachers have been more than accommodating. His needs and even his principal showed up in the hospital. You don't get that just at any old school. So yes, I'm a big fan of Little Rock Christian Academy, and my youngest, who I hoped you would meet tonight, Judah, is now following in his big brother's footsteps. If I had more time, I could tell you similar stories about his growth, but I'm not just here to talk about my children. I'm here to tell you that none of this growth would have happened if it wasn't for the generous support of donors like you. Because when you give to ACE Scholarship, you enable partners with schools and families like mine to find an academic solution that works. You give school choice to those who really don't have it without your financial support. ACE Scholarships has made the difference between my son, Judah, crying about going to school, to eagerly attending a place where he is being equipped by life. My boys aren't just being taught to read or to write, they're being taught how to be men. I know that if they ended up in our local public school, they would have gotten lost in the system and they would not be the people they are today. The kindness that ACE Scholarships has shown us has helped turn our family into servers. We are committed to giving back through our local program called Feed the Streets. The family motto is no excuses, because we have been blessed by the giving spirit of others. The theme of ACE Scholarships is saving the American student. I can tell you what it means to me, because on a recent car ride, Judah spoke up and suddenly said, "Thank you for making the sacrifices for me to go to private school, because if I wasn't there, I know that I would be caught up in things that I have no business doing." He is a success story, and so is Josiah. And so can each of these kids with your generosity today. With every dollar invested in ACE, we are writing hope into a child's future. My kids and I are proof ACE Scholarships provide life-changing opportunities. An ACE Scholarship costs an average of $3,500 each school year. This is what it took to change the trajectory of my kids' life forever. And so many of my friends asked me, why did you give up teaching at the university? I taught in Pine Bluff. I lived in a rural area, and we just didn't have school choice. So giving up my job that I loved to pursue something with less income gave them the opportunity that they could have in school. With your support, we'll be able to transform many more lives in Arkansas. Not only will students benefit from an ACE Scholarship, but their entire family will benefit. I would now like to ask each of one of you to fill out the pledge card sitting on your table. I'm waiting. Now. And know that the amount that you give will multiply in value as our kids get the best education possible. I'm still waiting. I don't see your pledge cards. Once complete, please place your pledge cards in the large white envelope and leave the envelope in the center of the table. Thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you so much for your generous contributions that changed my family's life and allowed us a choice in education. Students should be able to attend school where they will thrive, like my kid did not be limited to a zip code like we were before we moved. We're now going to hear from the St. Teresa Catholic School, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, choir, while you continue to fill out those cards and place them in the envelopes. I'm waiting. And place them in the envelopes provided at the table. Thank you and have a good night.